Welcome back. A local teacher's YouTube video has gone viral after he sounded off on the state of education here in Florida. Take a listen.
They're in an education system that says if you don't go to college, you have no worth. So their only alternative is to be underemployed, to find illegal work, or to abuse social welfare. Those students are marginalized by what I call a toxic culture of education.
Joshua Katz from University High School is an algebra teacher joining us live this morning to talk more about that video and the responses you've been getting. First of all, welcome. Thank you so much for being here this morning. You have gotten quite a response, even got a mention in the Washington Post not long after that speech went viral. What are your thoughts about how people are reacting?
Well, I'm glad I can get a voice out. I've had overwhelming support from fellow teachers, from parents, a lot of community members. I didn't expect it to be this big. Part of me hoped it would, because I just feel that the stakeholders that are the true stakeholders in education aren't being heard. It's the students, it's the parents and the teachers, and I'm glad that it could get out there.
What do you fundamentally believe is wrong with the state of public education right now?
There are two things, but I focus on one. It's the word accountability. We have a situation where the narrative is to compare education to business. In business, you have a simple question: what's best for the company? And you can measure that very easily. It's a bottom line. It's a profit margin. When it comes to education, there's nothing that simple. We're dealing with children. We're dealing with human beings. And the question has to be, what's best for the student? And I think that question is not being considered when it comes to education policy. Is this what's best for the student? A one-day, one-shot test that will measure you and grade your teacher and grade your school and impact the value of the homes around you based on a one-day test. Is that what's best for the student? So I think that the bigger picture is, how are we missing the boat that this is about human beings? We can't turn them into data points.
What advice do you give to parents who have kids in the public school system who can't afford to do private schooling?
I would say you have to be involved. Make sure that you understand state laws. Make sure you understand resources that are out there. There's ways around. You can work with your students' teachers. You can work with your students' schools. And if you stay involved, you can see that you can play a huge role in letting the teachers do what they do best. And the public school teachers do it best when it comes with caring for the students, working with the students, making sure that they're getting the best education possible, because they're with them for the 180 days. So parents need to do a much better job of staying in touch with the teachers, staying involved, know what's happening with the laws, because a lot of things are changing next year.
What do you advise parents about that end of year exam? What are you telling parents to do?
So there are some things in the state that offer the opportunity for students in the younger grades that can have a teacher-led portfolio developed at the beginning of the year, that there are ways that you can opt your student out of these high-stakes tests at an early age, and you can have an honest assessment of what your student is doing throughout the entire year, instead of waiting for that one-day, one-shot computer-based test, which still takes 2 months to be graded.
A lot of parents will be nervous to ask the teacher, is it okay if my child does not take the test, or I don't want my child to take the test? Should they be prepared for pushback?
They should, and I think that that comes into another question, which is, whose education is this? This is the student's education. And again, that's the stakeholder that's not being addressed, and we have to really think about what is best for the student. What's the best way to ensure that my student is learning? What is the best way to ensure that my student is prepared for a dynamic changing world, a dynamic changing economy? And if that is the question that you're coming in with, I think you'll be happy with the answers.
How can people watch your entire YouTube video if they want to see what you have to say?
So a few resources: just go to YouTube, type in Josh Katz or Toxic Culture of Education, and you'll sit down, have 17 minutes to spare. Hopefully you enjoy it. Opt Out Orlando has a website that has the full transcription of the talk, so you can read it as well.
Well, it certainly is fascinating, and I know we could talk about it all day. A lot of parents very eager to hear more about what you have to say. Josh Katz, thank you so much. University High School algebra teacher. All right, it's 8:28. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.